Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be a response to a thread that Darcy, Six Strings, Nine Lives, put up a couple of weeks ago, I think. Not a contest or anything like that, but just kind of a thread idea he threw out there, just kind of talking music. And I just wanted to kind of jump on board because I thought it was a pretty good question. And basically what he was saying was, one of the great things about the VC is, us people talking about music, and, I can't even begin to talk about the number of bands and the amount of music I've discovered through, so many people here in the VC. So his thread here was just kind of a, talk about maybe 4 bands, show a couple of albums that, just maybe you don't hear a lot about in the VC. Maybe you'll be, introducing them to someone and, all that kind of good stuff. So that's what I kind of did, was I went through and just picked out 4 bands here that I'm sure a lot of people in the VC maybe know about it. It's just bands that I have not seen a lot of people talk about. Then of course, there's a million channels where I don't see all the videos, so maybe there's like a billion people talking about these, but just in my personal experience within the VC, these are 4 really cool bands that I just have not seen a lot of people talk about whatsoever in the VC. So let me kind of know in the comment section actually if you are familiar with these bands or not. But hopefully maybe at least 1 or 2 people out there I might be able to introduce to something new. But let's start off here with this band, which is Tycho. This is a band I discovered, I guess a few years ago. I haven't known them too long. But Tycho is basically, kind of best way to put it, if you're someone who's really into 80s synth pop, this is probably a band that you'll like. It's pretty much kind of all instrumental stuff. There's no lyrics or anything like that, but it just has that cool 80s synthy type of groove. Or if you're also a fan of like the XX, especially their first album, songs like the intro and VCR. If you like those songs, you will love Tycho, because it's kind of that exact same thing, just without the lyrics. So, I'm really into the 80s. Of course, you guys know that, I definitely love the synth pop, one of my favorite kind of eras or segments of the 80s. And Tycho is just one of the more recent bands that kind of continue that vibe. So this is definitely my favorite album by them. This is Awake. And I would say probably the 2 of my favorite songs by them, period, is the title track off of this, which is Awake. And then also a song called L, like as in the letter L. So if you're not familiar with this band, those would be kind of 2 initial songs I would say to check out to get a good feel for kind of what they're about. But really dig this band, and I really dig the artwork on a lot of their album covers. It's just kind of very, just very cool stuff. So that's Awake, excuse me. And then this is a Dive. I think they have, let's see, I have 4 of their albums, but I can't remember if they have a 5th. I'm not even going to say it because I'll probably say something wrong, but I do have 4 of their albums, and again, I like them all. I think the one I just showed you before there, Awake, is probably my favorite, but, Dive here is also pretty good. There's really not a single track that stands out on this album. It's kind of one of those, every song is just pretty good kind of thing. So really cool stuff there. So that's Tycho. That's the first group. Next group I'll go to, which I actually only have 1 album by them, and it is Little Dragons. And it's the album Ritual Union is the name of this album. Now, the best way to describe these guys, this was a band that I knew nothing about, and again, this was probably a few years ago. This came out in, I don't remember when actually, but I think it was about 3 years ago or something like that, when I was walking through I was just kind of, hanging out in a local store, and just I kind of asked one of the guys, hey, just what's something new out there? Just maybe something you think I should check out, just introduce me to something. And Little Dragon was what he introduced me to, and I listened to a bit of it there on CD in the store, and I ended up picking up the vinyl. But kind of the best way to describe them, in my opinion, is if you take Stereolab, add a little bit of melody to it, and add some vocals that are kind of shifting a little bit from Stereolab to maybe something that could be a tad bit more radio friendly. Not going all the way there, but just something that adds a incy bit of melody, more melody, and an incy teensy bit of a little more radio friendly type of vocal, and you'll kind of get Ritual Union. So that's kind of the way that I would describe them. So I would think if you are a Stereolab fan, you will definitely find some cool stuff with this band. My two favorite songs, or two songs I would recommend kind of checking out, is the song Ritual Union, the self-titled track, and then also Little Man. I think that's also a pretty cool song that shows kind of what they do. And this is just one of those albums that, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's one of my favorite background albums. You know, it's just when it comes to, when I think about just putting something on and just kind of letting it play and getting a good feel and vibe in the room, this is just one of the albums that I tend to go to on that. So whatever that says about it, I don't know, but Little Dragon is definitely one. The next band I'm going to go to here, the third one, which is a band that is probably actually well known, but I still feel does not get the credit it deserves. And it is the one and only Bad Brains. Again, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people probably know this band, but again, just in case you don't, I mean, there's always a point in time when we first discover a band. Bad Brains is one of the most talented bands, I mean, in quite some time. They are really, I kind of put them, and follow me here before you start making comments, I kind of put them in the same category as a Prince, okay? In the sense that one of the things that made Prince so genius is that his creativity just came out in so many different ways. You know, one minute you're listening to something that is just, you know, so flowing, piano-y. The next thing, you know, you have something like When Doves Cry that you can't even name it or know what genre to put it in. Next thing you know, you're listening to a, you know, guitar solo from Let's Go Crazy, and just all the things that Prince did. He was just all over the place. He was a genius, and you never knew what he was going to lay down. He was not predictable in any way. And Bad Brains is kind of a band that when you look at their entire catalog, you can say the exact same thing about these guys to a certain degree. I mean, they're known in the punk world, you know, kind of being a legendary hardcore group, and they do, you know, punk and hardcore pretty darn well. But at the same time, if you actually sat down and listened to all their CDs, the one thing you would find is 1 minute they're straight up punk. The next minute, you know, you can pick out enough stuff in their discography, enough different songs where they could easily have gone on tour with a Bob Marley and open for him, and they would have fit right into the whole, you know, Rasta reggae, and no one would even known that they were a band that's known for their hardcore stuff. If you're a metalhead, there's plenty of tracks that you could pick out and again piece together an album, and you would think, oh, that's some new hard rock metal band. I mean, they could do it all, and these are guys that just, you know, when they felt it, that they got vibes and inspiration from all different types of music, and they were not afraid to put it on the table. So they have a bunch of different albums out there. I just picked out a couple here. This is Quickness. And again, this is kind of a really good example. I mean, just, I don't know, it's just a freaking great album. that's all, like, all their albums are. And then the other one I picked out here, which is Bad Brains Live. And I picked this one because this was the first album I ever got by them. I should have just pulled all of them out that I have to show you at least. But this is kind of a live album, and I really, really love the song Reignition off of this. Matter of fact, it's probably a good song to check out. The live version of Reignition, because you can easily hear some strong metal ties. You can definitely hear some punk ties into it. You can hear the reggae ties into it, and it's just a band you really have to dive in and check out because it's too much to even talk about. But I think Live and Eye Against Eye is probably my favorite two albums by them, which I didn't show here. But yeah, Bad Brains for sure. Awesome, awesome band. And the last one I'm going to share here is going to be In This Moment. Another band that I had never heard of until I went to see Rob Zombie live one night, and they opened for him. And I had never heard of them or anything like that. Matter of fact, going to the show, I didn't even know who the opening act was. I mean, that's just how disconnected I was. And they absolutely blew me away that night. And then this was the album they were touring on, which was their debut, Beautiful Tragedy, which in my opinion is still definitely their best album, hands down. One of the things I really like about In This Moment is, you know, I remember to say one of the things I don't like that much is a lot of that's the stuff out there that's you know, that Evanescence type stuff, you know, the things where you have people that are like, okay, well, we're going to kind of throw in some melodic vocals, you know, but then we'll have like maybe some heavier guitar in the background, so we're kind of bringing in this metal hard rock vibe thing, and it's kind of like dance and metal, and I'm gonna say dance, but I mean you kind of know what I'm describing there. And a lot of times, that's a lot of the stuff I just cannot stand. You know, it's just not my cup of tea. And there's always, you know, pieces here or there, stuff that I end up liking, but just overall, that's just not an element that I like a ton of. But In This Moment is one of the few bands that I think really did that well. And even though they don't go as far, but you know, they have some elements of what's her name? God, now I'm going totally brain dead, and I'm starting to talk about it. You know, where she can actually do it all. She can do the very guttural, you know, hard metal vocals. She can also do some of the soaring melodic type of stuff, and they insert it where it should be inserted. They don't overdo it. And again, this album is just really a fantastic album. A lot of great use of, you know, palm muting and the double bass drum, which, you know, for me, that tends to be the essence of what I feel metal. It's not necessarily how complex the songs are and all of that, but when you get 2-3 guitars, you know, or a bass guitar, a couple of leads, and then you get them all palm muting and chugging on the same rhythm with some double bass drums and everything in the background, like that to me is always just like the very basic, simple core of metal, and In This Moment does that very well. So if you're going to check them out, I would say a good range of songs that will give you an idea of what they're like is the songs Prayer, Daddy's Fallen Angel, and Beautiful Tragedy. If you listen to all three of those songs, you'll get a very good idea of what they do. Now, this is their debut album, which I think is definitely their best. The next album they came out with was this one here, which again was, you know, not too bad. I mean, again, my favorite song off of here is probably Mechanical Love. And then their third album, which is Stone Cross Wasteland here, which also wasn't too bad. My favorite two songs off of this is The Gun Show and The Road. And again, you'll kind of get that full mixture of what they do between those two songs. But I think after this album is when there was kind of a departure where I'm trying to remember who. I think it was the two guitar players and was it the drummer as well? But it's like 2 or 3 of them split and left, and they kept going as In This Moment. Not the 3 that left, but you know, she kept going as In This Moment, but they really did kind of take a turn in sound and just kind of went to a different thing that I'm not as fond of. So yeah, these 3 albums are definitely, I think, are the best if you want to check them out. But again, like I said, if you just really kind of go back to this album, Prayers, Daddy's Fallen Angel, and Beautiful Tragedy, you'll get a very good sense of who this band is, the early years, and if you like it, you'll definitely like the rest of their stuff. So there you go, man. Again, very good question. It was kind of fun figuring who to pull out of that, and yeah, so give me some comments down below. Let me know if you guys knew these bands, kind of what you think about them, all that good stuff. I'll be coming back here pretty soon, also doing a video where I'm going to be answering questions. You know, just anything you guys want to know, want me to talk about, you know, personally, musically, what I think about, whatever. I just put in the comments down below, and I'm going to make sure I answer every single one. So have a good one, VC. Have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we will talk to you guys soon.